And I believe this has been a pretty recent comment, but from Jim Harbaugh, he had mentioned, and I want to read it verbatim and be correct and not just. So it says, this is from Austin Meek on Twitter, which I do not know exactly who that is, but nonetheless, he says Harbaugh is leaning into the possibility that Michigan's quarterback competition won't be settled by the opener. It's possible there's a starter. So this is the quote. It's possible there's a starter by the first game. It's possible it plays into the season. So it sounds like it's still open competition. And my guess is this is definitely going to roll past the out of I would even venture the out of conference. And there'll probably be a decision made before they play Iowa. I mean, I would, unless you're going to go with the two quarterback system, I would definitely want that QB1 solidified by the Iowa game, preferably before. But if you're making me make a decision, I would want it before that week.
They play Maryland the week before in the Big Ten opener at home. I'm going to call that a sneaky, tough wild card game. I think they should have something resolved by then.
I think Michigan is a better team than Maryland. It's not even close. But what I do think about is when you have an offense that can get hot, and especially when you're talking throwing the ball all over the field, it can be a little scary. I would compare it to the Johnny Manziel Texas A&M year when they played Alabama. They didn't run the ball all that well, and they got to a point where they just kind of gave up on that. But because they could throw it quite a bit, and they were a really good passing team, they end up pulling that upset. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that's a game that Michigan will just need to come in and just handle their business. You just don't want to have a game where a team like that just kind of hangs around. Talia Tagovailoa, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. People talk a lot about his interceptions, and I think you and Corey touched on that yesterday. Someone had posted that, and I think it might have been Antoine Johnson, who joins our channel quite a bit, but he's just like, oh man, that guy throws 3 picks every single game. And then you guys both looked at it, it was like, he threw 11 interceptions all of last year, and he had one game where he threw 5. So it's like, 6 in the other, whatever it was, 11 games. So it just, it's something that I think you just make sure it's not a week that you're sleepwalking. That's all I'll say. And especially, too, coming off of the 3, non-conference games where I think we can all agree that that's going to be a pretty tilted final score where you probably could sleepwalk through those three weeks of the season and be absolutely unscathed, no issues. So, I think, like you said, I think that will be a sneaky game to have, number one, the quarterback situation set, but also making sure that the defense is just ready to go. I don't think they need an A+ performance, but you just need to be ready to go.
And I think you get this, that from my perspective, that doesn't mean that they're not going to wipe Maryland off the field. That doesn't mean that they're not going to win this game 45-14. And then maybe some other opponents might give them a tougher game. Like, I listed out the toughest opponents that I think they have, and Maryland, for me, ranked fairly high, like 5th or 6th. I just think because they've got a better puncher's chance than a few other teams, that doesn't mean the game's going to be as close as some other games that Michigan has against lesser teams. I'm just more confident in Maryland's puncher's chance to pull off an upset more so than a few other teams.
Yeah, and it could be a game where Talia throws 3 interceptions. That very well could happen. Like I said, you just want to make sure you're on top of it. You guys are ready to go. They're awake. They've had their coffee, all that good stuff, and ready to rock and roll.